Big play here. Trying to go up top for it.
He wants to run for it, Jim. He wants to just go get it with his legs. He's trying to find
it. It wasn't there, so now he's got to throw it deep.
And fires. Caught. Touchdown. Rashad
Bateman. We are moving from the wild card round right through to the divisional round. It is flying, but it was an action-packed wild card weekend. Kenny C back here on the ones and twos. Welcome back to the Kenny C Show. Hit that subscribe button because this content is non-stop. We are going to get into my divisional round picks for this coming weekend. Oh, do we have a loaded slate Saturday and Sunday. Every single matchup is a great one. Let's take a look at Kenny C's picks from the wild card round. I went 4-2 in my wild card picks. I failed on my Green Bay pick and on my Houston and Chargers pick. I took the Chargers to win that one. They did not. I took the Packers to upset Philly. They did not. But I was correct in Washington over Tampa Bay, the Rams over Minnesota, the Steelers over, Baltimore over the Steelers, and Buffalo over Denver. So let's get into the divisional weekend. Saturday, 4:30. We'll start with the AFC. We'll do both Saturday and Sunday AFC games, 4:30. You got the Chiefs, you got the Texans. The last time these two teams faced off in the playoffs was the divisional in 2020, in which the Chiefs curb stomped the Texans 51-21. But mind you, Deshaun Watson was the quarterback of the Texans at the time. DeMeco Ryans was still the DC for the 49ers. Bill O'Brien was the head coach for the Texans, and Travis Kelce was prime Travis Kelce, 134 yards and 3 touchdowns. While he's still an enormous impact player on the field, he is not prime Travis Kelce. With that being said, current day, DeMeco Ryans as the head coach, still Andy Reid for the Chiefs. This is a battle between them two. It's a battle between CJ Stroud and Patrick Mahomes. Matt Burke, defensive coordinator for the Texans, and defensive coordinator for the Chiefs, Steve Spagnuolo. This game is going to come down to whether or not CJ Stroud can perform under pressure. Because we saw against the Chargers, my main focal point was that the Texans' offensive line is not good by any means, and that they were going to have to overcome a lot of pressure from Jesse Minter and that Chargers defense. And they overcame it. The turning point in that game was CJ Stroud on 3rd and 16, that pass to Hutchinson on the botched play where it was a fumble. He made that long completion to extend the drive, and then they cashed in with Nico Collins. In a 32-12 win over the Chargers, that was surprising to me. That was more so on the Chargers offense and their inability, to effectively orchestrate scoring drives, and Herbert threw 4 picks in that game. So this Texans defense can not only get after the quarterback, but they can pick off the quarterback, and they had a pick 6 in that game as well. You had 4 sacks for that defense, 1.5 for Will Anderson Jr., 1.5 for Mario Edwards Jr. Danielle Hunter and Christian Harris, look for them to be 2 key players in this matchup against the Chiefs, because if you cannot get pressure on Patrick Mahomes, you will not have success. The Chiefs beat the Texans in Week 16, 27-19, and that's because Trent McDuffie neutralized Nico Collins, and the Texans were left with really nowhere else to go with the football. So CJ Stroud is going to have to look to his other options, get Dalton Schultz heavily involved, get Hutchinson involved. You don't have Stephon Diggs, you don't have Tank Dell, you haven't had him for a while now. They're going to have to overcome this, and I think you got to lean on Joe Mixon heavy, early, and often. If you look at the Chiefs, where the Texans can attack the Chiefs with this pass rush, they have to get home on the pass rush. Leaning on Mixon and getting this pass rush going are the only ways in which they are going to win this game. The left side of the Chiefs line is the part of the line that you want to attack with Danielle Hunter or Will Anderson, because they have had problems with injuries at left tackle. Joe Thuney had to move from left guard to left tackle. He's held it down because he's all pro caliber. DJ Humphries, who's a midseason addition, he's played just 2 games. So they're going to have to exploit that left side of the Chiefs line. If you look at the red zone, the Texans are 26th in the red zone. That does not bode well against the Chiefs. You got to cash in on your chances. What they do have going for them is time of possession. They're 6th in the National Football League with 31 minutes and 5 seconds in average time of possession. Kansas City is right behind them at 7. 30 minutes and 45 seconds of time of possession, but I just think it's going to be too much for them to overcome. This is a Chiefs team that you cannot count out. They've showed you all season where if their offense doesn't look the best, they don't look the best collectively, they're still going to find ways to win. They're still going to find ways to scheme you and beat you with Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo. And with Patty Mahomes in the playoffs, fresh off a bye, I can't count them out. I think the Chiefs win this one handily. Let's go, Buffalo. This game right here is going to be the ultimate game of the weekend and arguably of the playoffs. Two MVP headliners going straight at it on Sunday evening at 6:30 in Orchard Park. We got the Ravens, we got the Bills. It's going to be single digits, strong possibility of snow. Lamar Jackson v. Josh Allen. This is everything you could have wanted. Both teams taking the wild card by storm. Buffalo with a 31-7 dominating win over Denver, and Baltimore a 28-14 win over the Steelers in AFC North clash. Heavy dosage of Henry. That's what I told you guys in my wild card preview. Todd Monken needs to lean on Henry, and he did, baby. 186 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, 81 rushing yards in that game. Josh Allen and James Cook took down Denver in the second half with ease. 120 yards and a touchdown for James Cook. This game right here is going to come down to which team's quarterback makes the biggest play. We see the gigantic strong arm that Josh Allen has with explosive plays downfield, extending plays. Lamar Jackson, obviously a craftsman at extending plays in his own right. This is going to come down to the Buffalo Bills being able to slow down Derrick Henry, because the first time that these two teams met was week 4. The Ravens destroyed the Bills in that one 35-10. But look, that was a long time ago. That seems like ancient history now, week 4. Both of these teams have had changes. Taron Johnson and Matt Milano are back for the Bills. The Bills also did not have Amari Cooper at that time. They now have Amari Cooper because they traded for him. And then you look on Baltimore's side of things, their defense was in shambles. Zach Orr has these guys playing at a really high level now, and it's primarily because Kyle Hamilton was moved to deep safety and Ardarius Washington was implemented into the lineup. They have gelled since then. Marlon Humphrey, Brandon Stevens. This is a secondary that has made immense strides. Both of these teams are going to have to rely on the running game in the cold. Derrick Henry, 199 yards and a touchdown. He went off for his season high against the Bills the last time they played each other. Lamar had 2 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown. With Josh Allen and the Bills, you can't allow this Ravens defense to intimidate you. Zach Orr is going to bring pressure. You're going to have to spread the ball around. You got to use Matt Collins, Josh Allen. You got to use Khalil Shakir, who's your leading receiver. Keon Coleman. Curtis Samuel had a big game against Denver. Amari Cooper. Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid need to be heavily implemented into this game if Buffalo wants a shot at winning. It's going to be very hard to slow down a Hall of Fame running back in Derrick Henry with the way that he has played. But A.J. Epinesa and Gregory Rousseau have to do their best to try to contain Lamar, keep him in the pocket, and this defensive front has to try to neutralize Derrick Henry. I think this one is going to be a shootout, something similar to the 2021 divisional between the Bills and the Chiefs, an instant classic. I think we're going to have something of that ilk. And this game is going to be an absolute battle. The cold conditions are going to play a factor, but the Bills thrive in the cold conditions. You saw, week 13 or week 14 against the 49ers, where they stomped them out. I think it was 35-10, something around there. Josh Allen, 3rd quarterback in NFL history to throw a touchdown pass to himself. This is going to come down to which team's offense plays mistake-free football, because you look at the points per game, the Buffalo Bills, 2nd in the league with 30.9 per game. Baltimore right on their curtails, 3rd in the league, 30.3 points per game. Time of possession, Baltimore is 5th, and the Buffalo Bills are 12th. This game is seriously going to come down to mistake-free football and which team more effectively utilizes their running back. But I'm taking Buffalo in this game to pull it off. I think that with all the hype behind Josh Allen and the fact that he's the favorite for MVP, even though Lamar Jackson has a lot better stats, Josh Allen has a chip on his shoulder, He wants to get back to the conference championship game. Lamar was just there last year. Lamar's a 2-4 playoff record, so a lot hanging in the balance and a lot of weight on his shoulder as well. But I think that Josh Allen and that big arm, he is going to be able to prevail in the end. When it comes down to needing points in the clutch at the very tail end of games, I'll date back to the 2021 divisional between the Chiefs and the Bills. Josh Allen knows how to get that done. I'm going to rely on the Bills getting the football last, having the football in their possession, and being able to pull this one out in an instant classic. I think this one is going to be a classic.
Hey, baby, let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. Have some fun.
Now switching gears to the NFC, we got a clash between the Washington Commanders going to Ford Field in Detroit to take on the 1-seed Detroit Lions Saturday, 8 p.m. You saw what Jaden Daniels was able to do in orchestrating his 5th game-winning drive of the year against the Tampa Bay Bucks, a 23-20 thriller in the wild card. 7th-round pick in 2017, Zane Gonzalez with the doink to the divisional, but it took Jaden Daniels in that offense, calm, cool, and collected, to march down the field and get them into scoring position. They had 35 minutes of total time of possession again over the Buccaneers in that game. Jaden Daniels, 68.6 completion percentage, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns. The rookie playing like a vet. He is an absolute stud. Him and Terry McLaurin are a dynamic duo. But that game came down to Dan Quinn's risk it, no biscuit. We're going to go for it on 4th down. A couple of times they didn't get it when they could have put points on the board. But the other couple times that they did, they went for 5 out of 7 of their 4th downs they went for. And they picked up some crucial ones in that game en route to a big win. Nobody is more efficient converting 4th downs in the National Football League than the Washington Commanders, who have an 87% conversion rate on 4th down. The Buffalo Bills are second to that with a 72.7% conversion rate. So this is a Commanders team that likes to go for it on 4th, and we know Danny Campbell and the Lions love to go for it on 4th down as well. They are tied for 6th in the league in conversion percentage on 4th down, 66.67, tied with the Rams. Dan Quinn versus Dan Campbell, the battle of the Dans. This game, in my opinion, is going to come down to the ability of the Commanders to orchestrate offensively and try to succumb Aaron Glenn's defensive front and Aaron Glenn's defensive schemes, because you know for a fact that Aaron Glenn is going to dial up the blitz and bring it towards Jaden Daniels. But we saw how he responded to blitz-happy Todd Bowles. He raised hell, no pun intended or pun intended, because that's their hashtag on Twitter for the Commanders, raise hell. And that's what he did against the defensive front of the Buccaneers. He was able to pick up yardage with his feet. I think he had 37 yards scrambling, 13 carries. He was able to pick up key 1st downs. The offense is going to rely heavily on Jaden's ability to get out of that pocket when Aaron Glenn brings that blitz, because you know it's going to come. The Detroit Lions offense, that's going to be hard to slow down. Igbinoghene, Mike Sainristil, Marshawn Lattimore, who got torched by Mike Evans, they have their work cut out for them. Ben St. Juste, they're going to have to lock up against Amon-Ra St. Brown and the likes of Jamo Williams, Sam Laporta, Bobby Wagner, and Frankie Louvu are going to have their work cut out with trying to deal with Laporta, while also simultaneously trying to deal with Sonic and Knuckles, because David Montgomery is gearing up to make his return in this game. And if you have Monty and Gibbs, that's going to be a lot to deal with defensively for the Commanders. I love what I've seen from Joe Witt Jr., the defensive coordinator for the Commanders, all season. But I think it's going to come down to which team converts on their key 4th downs. Jaden Daniels using his legs to extend plays. And for the Lions side of things, doing what you've done all season, which is average 33.2 points per game and try to pummel this Commanders secondary, and this Commanders defense as a whole, and make Jaden Daniels have to play catch-up. For that reason, I love what I've seen from Jaden this year. He looks like a true leader. He orchestrates drives in the clutch. He gets better in the 4th quarter statistically. And what Dan Quinn has done with this Commanders team has been awesome. I don't think they're going to have enough firepower to overcome Campbell and that potent Jared Goff-led offense. With Gibbs and Monty, if Monty's back, it's just going to be too much in my opinion. I see the Lions taking down the Commanders in this one. And finally, the last game on the docket in terms of the NFC, 3:30 p.m. on Sunday, we got the Rams in Philly to take on the Eagles. The Rams coming off that win that I said they would pull off against those 14-2 Vikings, or 14-3 Vikings, 27-29. They pummeled Sam Darnold. 9 sacks, Byron Young with 1.5, former Cowboy Neville Gallimore with 1.5. Kobe Durant had a sack of his own. Jared Verse with that huge 57-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown. They got after it against this Vikings offense. They gave Darnold no time. They pressured him just like Aaron Glenn and the Lions did in Week 18, and they got home. That young defensive front, that young pass rush was able to do what I said that they were going to do. And you got to give it to Chris Shula, and you got to give it to Sean McVay. They got it done. As for the Eagles, they played hard-nosed, I'm going to hit you in the mouth football against the Green Bay Packers. 22-10 victory. Quinyon Mitchell, Darius Slay, Cooper DeJean, they were lights out. Slay and Mitchell both with big interceptions in that game. Zach Bond with a huge pick before the first half concluded. It's going to come down, this game is going to come down to whose defensive front gets more pressure on the opposing quarterback, because the Packers, they were neutered. They were spaded and neutered against this Eagles offense. They couldn't get any pressure home. You got 4 first-round picks on that defensive line for Green Bay, and none of them could get home to really get through and harass Jalen Hurts. So that's what this defensive front, coming off a 9-sack performance with all the momentum behind them in the LA Rams, that's what they got to do against Jalen Hurts, and you got to try to slow down Saquon Barkley. The Packers, for the most part, they sort of did, but Barkley still broke big runs. 119 yards is what he finished with. He didn't find Pater in that game, but he was instrumental in picking up first downs. That's going to be a tall task for this Rams team, who in Week 12 went up against this Eagles team and lost 37-20 because Barkley had a ginormous performance. MVP talks instantaneously after that. 255 yards and 2 touchdowns. So you are going to have to try to neutralize him. A.J. Brown was hardly used at all, 1 reception against Green Bay, but in that game in Week 12, he had 109 yards and a touchdown. So you're going to have to try to neutralize A.J. Brown. Hopefully that dynamic between Jalen Hurts and him, it's still not going well, but Devontae Smith was the primary target of Jalen Hurts, so you're going to have to deal with him. Now the Eagles are not going to have Nakobe Dean, their star linebacker in this game. He tore his patellar tendon against Green Bay, so that's a big loss, but this is still the best defense in the National Football League in the Eagles. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis up front are going to do their thing. Nolan Smith, Zach Bond, they are awesome. Zach Bond, 150 tackles in the regular season. I think 3 forced fumbles. I could be wrong on that. The point is, he's been awesome coming from New Orleans to the Philadelphia, has reinvented his career. It's going to be the battle of the defenses. You got to get Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua going if you're Matt Stafford, and Kyron Williams needs to get a lot of burn in this game as well. With that being said, I think that the Rams, coming off that performance against Darnold and the Vikings, find a way to get enough pressure on Jalen Hurts, make him uncomfortable, get after him, and I think their offense orchestrates some drives. They lean on Kyron Williams, and I think they get it done again. I think they beat Philadelphia and go on to the NFC Championship game. These are my picks. Take a look. Drop your comments in the comments section below. I want to hear from you guys. Subscribe to the channel. This stuff's coming all the way through to the Super Bowl and beyond, baby. Subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more.